Hello everyone. In our series of short films about women who inspire and motivate our lives, we bring you a magnificent woman. She is articulate, she has brains, depth, heart, substance, ability, wisdom, strength, wit, integrity. She is caring, compassionate, charming, funny, optimistic, honest. She is a woman, a daughter, a wife, a mother, an inspiring role model. Today's feature is Michelle Obama. Stay tuned. Hello, I'm Kate. Welcome to I Love 50, a channel dedicated to motivating and inspiring every single woman over 50 and beyond. So, how do we all know Michelle Obama? Well, she was raised on the south side of Chicago in Illinois. She is a graduate of Princeton University and Harvard Law School. She is, of course, married to Barack Obama, who was the 44th President of the United States, and thus she was herself First Lady of the US. And as I'm sure we all know, she was the first African-American First Lady of the United states. Her family can trace their roots back to pre-Civil War African Americans in the American South. Her paternal great-great-grandfather, Jim Robinson, was born into slavery in 1850 on the Friendfield Plantation, which is near Georgetown in South Carolina. He became a freed man at the age of 15 after the war, and some of Michelle's family on her father's side still reside in that Georgetown area. I think that what's really interesting is that many of Michelle's ancestors themselves had multiracial ancestors, and that of course reflects the very complex history of the United States. Michelle's childhood home was in Chicago's South Shore community area, in an apartment which her parents rented from her great aunt, who had the whole of the first floor. She was raised in what she describes as a pretty conventional style home, with her mom at home and her dad working. Her elementary school, or primary school, was just down the end of the street, and she played piano and was taught by her great aunt, who was herself a piano teacher. And both Michelle and her brother Craig skipped the second grade. Her father suffered from multiple sclerosis, which did, of course, have a profound emotional effect on her as she was growing up. She was determined to stay out of trouble at school and get good grades, which is what her father wanted for her. So much so that by the 6th grade, Michelle joined a gifted class, and apparently the round-trip commute to and from school every day took about 3 hours. Michelle herself recalls of being fearful of how others might perceive her, but she pretty much discarded any negativity around her and used it to fuel her and keep her going. Michelle followed her brother to Princeton University, which she entered in 1981. She majored in sociology and minored in African American studies, graduating cum laude with a Bachelor of Arts in 1985. Michelle recalls that some of her teachers in high school had tried to dissuade her from applying, and that she had been warned against setting her sights too high. Once she was there, she recounts the story of the mother of a white roommate reportedly trying unsuccessfully to get her daughter reassigned because of Michelle's race. And she said that being at Princeton was really the first time that she became much more aware of her ethnicity. Despite the willingness and efforts of some of her classmates and teachers to reach out to her, she still felt like a visitor on campus. Michelle then went on to Harvard Law School, where she participated in demonstrations advocating the hiring of professors who were members of minority groups. She worked for the Harvard Legal Aid Bureau, assisting low-income tenants with housing cases. She is the third First Lady with a postgraduate degree, and later said that her education gave her opportunities beyond what she had ever imagined. Michelle's father then died in March 1991, and it was around this time that she began to think of what contributions she was making towards society and how well she was influencing the world from her law firm, which was her first job after law school. She considered this a turning point. Following law school, Michelle became an associate at the Chicago office of a law firm. She worked on marketing and intellectual property law. She met Barack when they were among the few African Americans at this law firm that they both worked in, and she was assigned to mentor him while he was a summer associate. Their relationship started with a business lunch and then a community organization meeting, and the couple's first date was apparently to a Spike Lee movie in 1989. They married in 1992, had 2 daughters, Amalia and Sasha, and the Obama family then lived on Chicago's South Side, where Barack taught at the University of Chicago Law School. In 1991, she held public sector positions in the Chicago city government as an assistant to the mayor and as assistant commissioner of planning and development. In 1993, she became executive director for the Chicago Office of Public Allies, a non-profit organization encouraging young people to work on social issues in non-profit groups and government agencies. She worked there nearly 4 years and set fundraising records for the organization that still stood 12 years after she left. Michelle later said that she had never been happier in her life prior to working to build Public Allies. In 1996, she served as the Associate Dean of Student Services at the University of Chicago, where she developed the university's Community Service Center. In 2002, she began working for the University of Chicago Hospitals, first as Executive Director for Community Affairs and beginning in May 2005 as Vice President for Community and External Affairs. She continued to hold the University of Chicago Hospitals position during the primary campaign of 2008, but cut back to part-time in order to spend time with her daughters, as well as work for her husband's election. She subsequently took a leave of absence from her job. Michelle reduced her professional responsibilities by 80% to support Barack's presidential campaign. She attended events, made campaign appearances, often wrote her own speeches, and just generally spoke without notes. She then campaigned for her husband's re-election in 2012. Beginning in 2011, Michelle became more politically active than she had been since the 2008 election. Michelle herself describes her 4 primary initiatives as First Lady: Let's Move, Reach Higher, Let Girls Learn, and Joining Forces. Some of Michelle's initiatives included advocating on behalf of military families, helping working women balance career and family, encouraging national service, and promoting the arts and arts education. She received numerous awards and accolades during her time as First Lady. In 2010, Michelle undertook her first lead role in an administration-wide initiative called Let's Move, which was developed to make progress in reversing the 21st century trend of childhood obesity. Her husband, President Barack Obama, created the Task Force on Childhood Obesity to review all current programs and create a national plan for change. Michelle said that her goal was to make this effort her legacy. She said she wanted to leave something behind where somebody could say that because of this time and this person spent here, this thing has changed. And she hoped that that was going to be in the area of childhood obesity. She was an avid campaigner in favour of LGBT rights and same-sex marriage. As First Lady, Michelle served as role model for women and worked as an advocate for poverty awareness, education, nutrition, physical activity, and healthy eating. Since being First Lady, she has done a lot more work promoting the education of young girls and the rights of the underprivileged. 2019 saw the publication of her best-selling memoir, Becoming, which has sold around 12 million copies worldwide so far. Michelle came from humble beginnings. She is relatable. She's worked for her successes. She never lost sight of what was important to her, and she has never ceased to work hard for women's rights and promote women's health, education, and wellness. What we love about Michelle is her focus on the bigger picture, that she's not just about massaging her own ego. She knows she can serve a bigger purpose, and she has never lost sight of that. She encourages us to understand the people around us, our friends, our family, and to be empathetic and understand their story, to try and understand what they're going through and why they might be angry or fearful or hateful at times. And by doing that, we judge less. What she has taught us, well, that no one else can make you happy. You are responsible for your own happiness. Figure out what your walk is. Why are you here? What makes you happy? Not the person behind you or the person in front of you. Don't compare yourself to other people. Don't develop your sense of self-worth and accomplishment from what you might read in a magazine. That's just not real. What's your definition of health and happiness? And pursue that. Happiness and fulfillment doesn't come from adoration and external compliments. It comes from the work that you do within yourself. As ladies, as more mature ladies, we have to embrace our change and not be afraid to state our age and be proud of who we are and what we represent as more mature women. As Oprah so eloquently said, Michelle, you are a rock star. You are a role model and you are one of the world's most admired women. It's so very well deserved. Thank you, Michelle. Long may you continue to motivate and inspire us, because we do truly think that you are amazing.